Hi everyone, welcome back. Okay, in this lesson I'm going to deconstruct a poster for you. Now this may seem really simple, but there are several things that you need to think about when you're designing a poster. There are always going to be those promotion rules, those design rules that I've covered in a lot of my other print design courses. So I'm not going to necessarily go over those here, but we are going to break down a poster so you can get to know the common elements that you're going to find throughout all of your poster designs. Now, the first and foremost, most important element of any poster you will see out there is the graphic or the image used. Most of the time when you're looking at a poster, the image, the photograph, the graphic, the illustration, whatever it is that makes up that poster is the star. It is the element that is the most dominant of your entire design. It's what stands out. It's colorful. It's not. Whatever's happening, that image is key to any poster. And the reason posters are usually larger is so that it emphasizes this image even more. So if you're thinking about your classic movie poster and you go out in your movie theater, what is so awesome about those posters is always going to be the image. Now, some images are very stylized, some images are just photographs. Whatever the case may be, there's a certain reason for choosing that image for the specific poster. When it comes to movies, for example, more than likely it's going to be the actors, because as viewers, we're going to relate to those faces, we're going to know who they are, we're going to go to the movie because of that. But not all posters are photography dominant. There's a lot of really awesome posters out there that are completely illustrated. Therefore, it's designed, it's drawn out, whatever the case may be. So there's a lot of ways that you can go with that actual image. But whenever you're sitting down to design a poster, knowing what your image is, what your graphic's going to be, or your illustration is key. Now, one thing I would advise when it comes to the images is that you pay attention to what you want to use. For example, rarely are you going to find a movie poster or another type of poster that is going to mix your elements, meaning that you're not really going to find an illustration and a photo together in one poster. Now, that doesn't mean that the photograph's not going to be super stylized. That's not exactly what I mean. I'm just saying that if you're going to go with a photograph, you're going to stick with that photograph for your dominant design, and then you might add in some other design elements somewhere else, but they're not going to be as dominant as that photograph. Same thing for an illustration. If your poster is highly illustrated, even if it's an abstract illustration, again, that's going to be your focus, and you're not going to throw in a lot of photography. That way, because even though you have a larger space to work with, it's important to understand that you really don't want to confuse the reader. You want to make a stellar design and let that pop so that they see that. You don't want to mix it up too much with your poster. Number two, outside of your image, is obviously the text. Without a text element on your poster, there's not a lot of information to share. Now, there are awesome posters though that have very little to none text, so that rule is obviously meant to be broken. However, even in the simplest of posters, there's always some sort of text that helps the reader get more information about what the poster's about. So with the text, you have a lot of options here. You have a lot of opportunities to have fun with fonts and typography and sizes and colors, textures, you name it. Fonts and text is a way to go with your poster design. Now, just like your image, you're going to stick with a similar style. So your fonts can vary in size and weight and colors, but you don't want to go overboard. That's a general rule for design. So just like with any other print item we design for, you're going to limit that to 3 fonts or less. And then in addition to your fonts and your images, you may have some decorative elements. You may have some fun little designs, some fun little illustrations that spice up your design, some textures or effects. But all of that works together to create a cohesive design in your poster. And how you lay those out is entirely up to you. So you can have your text heavy at the bottom or the top of your poster. You can have your image all the way from the top to the bottom, or you can have it in the middle. There's so many options available to you. So we're going to cover a lot of that in the following lessons as we get going on our design poster. So now that you see the elements that make up a poster, how do you break up all of that content? Say you've been given a huge creative brief with a lot of information about your event or whatever it is you're making the poster for. How do you know what's the most important and how to highlight that? We're going to talk about that in the next lesson.